Okay. So for this, I'm going to be ranking every Sony Animations villain. I'm almost done with doing this, and then I'm going to move on to doing something else, which will be interesting. A lot of Sony animation villains are really good, especially the Spider-Verse movies. I still can't believe they delayed Beyond the Spider-Verse 2 years. Why did they do that? I mean, there are pretty few decent series in Sony, like the Spider-Verse, Hotel Transylvania's okay, Open Season. Okay, enough of me talking. Let's just get started. At number 26, Doug from Open Season 3. Doug is just terrible as a villain. He's not interesting. He's honestly kind of pathetic. He didn't even really try to act like Boog, the main character. When him and Boog switch places for the day, Doug just made uh, all of all of Boog's like friends turn against him and turned him into his personal servants. I mean, Doug is the worst Sony villain out of all of them. And I'm moving on. At number 25, Smiler from the Emoji Movie. Yeah, the Emoji Movie is not good. A lot of people know that. The Emoji Movie just feels like it was a wasted potential. And Smiler is just not interesting as a villain. I mean, she's kind of threatening, better than Doug, but could stand for some improvement. Because Smiler is still trash, in my personal opinion at least. Yeah, that's the way it goes. At number 24, Quasimodo Wilson from the first Hotel Transylvania. Honestly, Quasimodo doesn't really even show up much in the movie. I mean, he is decent as a villain. Better than the last two I talked about, but still. Quasimodo doesn't even really do much in the first Hotel Transylvania. At number 23, Thomas McGregor from the first live action Peter Rabbit. Thomas McGregor works as a villain, threatening into some cases, but at the end he just turns into a decently moral person. That's the way it goes with sympathetic antagonists. A lot of them are not really good. At number 22, Johnny's monster form from Hotel Transylvania Transformania. Yeah, that movie isn't really that good, and out of all the villains, out of all from what that movie, this is considered the villain. And it's just not very interesting because Johnny has been mainly the good, morally person since the first movie from 2012. Dang, it's been that long. Yeah. At number 21, Luchador from that one movie, Vivo. Luchador doesn't even really show up till like the end of the movie. And he's only an antagonist for a few minutes. But one thing I like about him, he has a pretty good design, but that's all he has really going for him. At number 20, Fifi from Open Season 2. The only redeeming thing about Fifi is his voice. He has a pretty interesting voice actor, but other than that, Fifi is unremarkable in the second Open Season movie. At number 19, Abraham Van Helsing from Hotel Transylvania 3. To be honest, he's kind of underwhelming as a villain. He had a whole legacy chasing Dracula, and himself was chasing Dracula for years. But still, he's kind of unremarkable as a villain. And in that case. And plus, he doesn't even really do a whole lot. He only summons a kraken at like the last few. At number 18, Mayor Shelbourne from the first Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I mean, he works as an antagonist, making mind manipulating Flint into keeping his machine on, which causes food tornadoes and such. But at the end, we don't really know what happened to him. He could have drowned, probably. I don't know. At number 17, Chief De Silva from Arthur Christmas. Pretty good antagonist. I didn't really know where to place it, but I decided somewhere around the middle would make sense for the most part. At number 16, Barnabas from the second Peter Rabbit movie. Most people forget this was a movie, but I saw it in theaters around 2021. And Barnabas works as an antagonist, mind manipulating, getting to Peter's side through him knowing his father, who got killed by a McGregor. And Barnabas works. At number 15, King Leonard Mudbeard from the first Angry Birds movie. I mean, he works as an antagonist, being the king of Pig Island. He works as an antagonist, but could stand for a bit of improvement. At number 14, Bella from Hotel Transylvania 2. Probably the best Hotel Transylvania antagonist, in my opinion. I mean, he is what unlocks Dennis into his vampire form and gives him his powers. And Bella works as an antagonist, being somewhat threatening. At number 13, Queen Victoria from move that one Sony movie that was about pirates. I forgot the name. Queen Victoria despises pirates with every being of her body. And that works. She is threatening and even has a pleasure of eating exotic animals, endangered animals. Now that's messed up in so many ways. At number 12, Slappy the Dummy from the Goosebumps movies. Now, Slappy the Dummy is really threatening. I mean, Goosebumps villains portrayed in books are really threatening. But Slappy the Dummy is on a whole nother level. I mean, he's just really threatening. At number 11, just outside the top 10, Jinx from the Garfield movie. Jinx works as an antagonist, being really threatening, And Garfield has been such a classic throughout the years. And now for the top 10. At number 10, Shaw from the first open season. Now, this is an iconic villain. He's funny, threatening, crazy, and entertaining all in one. He's just really good as a villain. At number 9, The Hunter from the Star. Even though this movie isn't too good, the antagonist is. Being really threatening, about to kill a baby who's supposed to be a god, and had a pretty gruesome death, falling off a cliff and getting crushed by a rock. That's pretty threatening. At number 8, Pal from the Mitchells and the versus the Machines. Pal is very threatening and pretty good at the same time. Pal is just really entertaining and works as an antagonist. At number 7, Zeta from the second Angry Birds movie. She works as an antagonist, doing all this, and got her dream in the end of marrying Mighty Eagle. At number 6, Gargamel from the Smurfs movies. Gargamel works as an antagonist, being threatening, getting a mastery of all magic. Wait, I got that mixed up with another. He just works as an antagonist. At number 5, Chester V from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. Chester V is threatening, calculative, hilarious, and threatening. Chester V is just a really entertaining villain, and survived dying for the most part, but eventually got eaten by that cheeseburger spot. At number 4, Kingpin from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Kingpin is great as a villain and has a sympathetic motive of going to an alternate universe to get part of his family that he lost. That's good and sympathetic. And Kingpin is a really threatening antagonist. And number 3, The Spot from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, I can go all day of why the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is one of the best sequels of all time. The Spot is such a good villain. Threatening, funny, has a good backstory of what made him, and it's just really threatening. And in that movie, we got to see Miles Morales as the Prowler. Even though we saw the Prowler get shot by Kingpin in the last movie, the Spot is just such an entertaining antagonist. And he's threatening. I think he might hopefully appear in Beyond the Spider-Verse. And number 2, Pockets from Wish Dragon. Pockets is such a good antagonist. He's threatening, calm, calculative, great antagonist. And he has a gruesome death of accidentally turning himself into gold and then crashing into a concrete road. Pockets is such a good villain, and Wish Dragon should be watched again. But at number 1, Tank Evans from the Surf's Up franchise. Forget the sequel. The first one was so good. And he's voiced by one of Batman's voice actors. Tank Evans is such an entertaining antagonist. And he's so iconic. I had to put him here in my personal opinion. And there we go. Stay tuned.